Hello, PBS drama fans. We're back. Guess what? This is episode 8 of Marie Antoinette, the finale, Queen of Hearts. You can do some graphics with that, right? We start this episode off with the king and queen celebrating New Year's Eve with the rest of the royal court. A lot of surprises in this episode. Guess who shows up? A certain Swedish count. That's right, he's back. Axl Von Rose. Or if you want to call him by his real name, Axl Von Fersen. So he's back, and there are some flirty exchanges between him and Anttoinette, of course. And King Louis does seem to notice and seems a little hurt by it. So there's been a lot of romantic drama, of course, but this episode also includes some political drama. So we see a member of the English government inform Provence that Louis is supplying arms to Americans that are trying to defeat the English, of course, the American Revolution. And he says, no, we can't have this. So Provence kind of thinks about it and says, yeah, this is setting us up for disaster. But if there is disaster, maybe I could, benefit from this. So Maurepas and the king are actually preparing for war with England because of this support they are lending to the Americans against the English. And guess who comes to town? Ben Franklin shows up to sort of say thank you for your support. And this is where Provence takes the opportunity to sort of make a scene in public and say, you're making a mistake, we're gonna lose. So he does this in public, but Ben Franklin seems to very much appreciate the king and queen and their support. So the king and Chartres, of course, are away at war, and the queen sort of is left at Versailles to dally, and she kind of cozies up to the count, and they even smooch a little. And we see this really romantic situation developing. So eventually, Chartres pays Anttoinette a late night visit. He comes to tell her, we've won the battle with England, and they're both feeling kind of celebratory. And he takes advantage of that and actually, tries to kiss her, forces himself upon her, and, even hits her. It's awful. If you thought he was a creep before, he is a certified creep for sure this episode. And she just says, nah, go away, done with you. So actually, we come to find out that Chartres is actually a deserter, a traitor. He left his post in the war prematurely, and so he's actually dismissed from the Royal Navy, and don't think that's the last we're gonna see of him. He kind of blames it on her, but she says she has nothing to do with this. Meantime, during this whole episode, Anttoinette is sort of ignoring her mother. Her mother's writing to her, wants her to visit, but she's putting it off, not writing her back. And we see the mother sort of grow sickly, and of course at the end of the episode she does die. And the episode ends, they kind of speed it along a little bit, but they have another baby, her and Louis have another baby, it's a boy this time. And then this epic final scene where the royal court comes to them in a line, Chartres there, so he's still around, in a line, and they all bow to them. End scene. So, not done with the historical part of the show, that's for sure. No heads were lopped off in this finale. So we'll have a lot to talk about, but there's quite a few things right now that we need to talk about. So, Megan, where are you?
Oh, hey there.
Hey, Megan.
Thanks for bringing me back.
Okay, lots to talk about, right, this episode. Let's first talk about, we've sort of seen Louis growing as a leader throughout this first season, but this episode really showed it, I feel like.
Oh yeah, he is manning up, if you will, standing up to his brother, because that guy stinks.
Woo!
I mean, wait, didn't we determine he really does stink?
Oh, he historically stunk.
Yeah.
Historically, he stunk. Like,
Historically,
yeah.
he was a stinker.
Yeah.
And
No, Louis, I thought, was the stinker. Are they both?
I think maybe both.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it ran in the family. You know, it'll happen. But then he sends away Marie Antoinette's suitors.
Yeah,
I feel like in earlier episodes he would have like thrown a little fit and gone up to the tower and played with his doves, and instead now he's like, I'm in charge of this army.
I think he actually realizes the power that he
out
has.
I'm the king.
Yeah, turns out I'm in charge of the whole country. Yeah, so play with his doves. He did go and pout and play with the doves before.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Obviously, Maurepas is not
well.
Not well.
What's wrong with his? What's wrong with him? Specifically, what's wrong with his feet? Do you know?
Does he have gout?
Oh. Maybe.
I mean, that seems, when there's something wrong with your feet, it's gout usually.
Always.
Not you specifically,
what if
but
it's plantar fasciitis?
could be plantar fasciitis. That's right. He has a bad case of plantar fasciitis.
Those shoes back then, not very comfortable.
But so he's clearly
Not well.
not well. He's his mentor. He's gonna go. So eventually,
We all go
but they're kind of
eventually.
leading there. But so Louis gonna have to take the full reins, even with all of the diplomatic stuff.
I'm gonna have to stab a stag in the chest. Just saying.
Throwback, call back to episode
2?
or 3. Yeah.
Right.
So what I noticed a little bit about the ending of this finale was that it kind of rushed things along.
The timeline through the series has been a little hard to kind of gauge at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little, Nick and I, about how all of a sudden it's 7 years later,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it'll be only a couple months later. So, but we see, and this makes me think what's going to happen next season, because season 2 is confirmed. It seems like they're not going to have much more to work with beyond that, right? Historically.
Well, I mean, we all know how it ends.
Yeah.
Better or worse.
So
Worse.
we're in the war right now,
Yep.
and so that sort of is leading up to what happens next. Is when they,
Debt, destruction, death,
and
triple D's, and I'm not
Death.
talking about tire strikes.
not talking about Guy Fieri. Death, destruction, debt, yeah, and of course the people's uprising. They're not going to like it. So I think, doesn't it seem like the timeline they're using now is just going to be for season 2?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, what's going to happen next season? What did you think of the finale? Be sure to leave your comments, questions, letters to the editor. Like, subscribe, do all those things. And what else should they do?
Well, if they haven't binged it on Passport, they should binge it. I'm hoping you already did, but maybe give it another go.
Yeah. Well, Megan likes to watch each episode 2 to 3 to 4 times over because you binge and then you. Okay, I'm not.
I feel attacked.
You're right. I am attacking you about your
My
your your watching habits. So come back and join us.
Oh, sorry.
Where, Megan? Where can they join us?
Right here for the drama.
Yeah, here.